So, if I could push you a little on that, right?
Sure.
We know that from our lived realities, right? That, I mean, people have not gotten beyond race, right? We know that we hear, some racial, sometimes racist comments, and even just a couple of weeks ago, I was waiting for lift at one of the buildings in Tampines, and there were two Indian workers inside, and nobody wanted to come in. So I don't know whether it's because foreign workers and because of the pandemic. Yeah. So I don't know whether it's because of that, whether it's because of race, but
they went into the lift with you, right?
No, so I went in with the two of them and the others. So I don't know if that is really the case, whether we have really moved beyond race. And if we have not moved beyond race as a society, right, then surely the PAP's justification has some validity in terms of if racism still exists in daily life, then it is possible that it would translate to voting patterns as well.
No, I don't think so. And the analogy I'm going to use is the Chee Soon Juan analogy. You see, because the establishment portrays Chee Soon Juan as a crazy man. You see. In fact, my wife had lunch with him in 2013, I think it was, and around the time of the Punggol East by-election. And after lunch, that was the first time she met him. After lunch, we walked away, and the first thing she said to me is, "He's a normal person." I said, "Yes, he's a normal person." But she said, everything I see in the media is that there's this crazy man here. So the establishment has divided us, you see, through the colonial period. There's the CMIO, the SAP schools, there's the rules on, religious headgear for certain religions, not for other religions. There's ethnic quotas in HDB estates, but not in condominiums. There's a quota for president, but there's no quota for Navy or the Air Force. So all of these things are structural things which are put in by the establishment. But in spite of that, the people can look beyond race. So what I'm trying to say is in spite of all the stuff that the PAP and the mainstream media says about Chee Soon Juan, you have people willing to wait 1.5 hours to get him to sign their book, you see. So what the people do is, in spite of what they are told and what they have been conditioned or what they've been programmed to do, and this is the great part about Singapore, you see. We have all these rules. We have this reputation for being a country which is full of rules. But what that does is it creates very clever people who find ways to get around the rules. So, in fact, I think there is a healthy skepticism of the official narrative, which is manifested in lines of people waiting to get Soon Juan to sign the book, and people who are willing to put more faith in Tharman than, say, some other PAP minister. So I think that this is the thing. See, despite the attempts by those in authority to divide and rule, Singaporeans are beyond that. See, so you have to distinguish, I think, between our official version of society or the way we are constructed, which I agree with you has not gone beyond race. As long as we have CMIO, we have every one of us has to carry an identity card which carries a race on it. See, so that is the official view. But when you talk to individuals, it's different. See, and granted, of course, every society, we're not in utopia. There are every society has people who are racist. There is old people who tell them, you better tell the kid, you better behave yourself, or the will come and catch you. Yeah, you see, that's very hard to deal with. But I cannot see a 20-year-old telling his, or 25-year-old telling his kid that. See, that is something the grandma will tell the kid. And it's like the generation of people who thought that Soon Juan was this madman. See, eventually, when these people are exposed to social media or they're exposed to the reality of the lived experience that people have in a world which is increasingly diverse, and it's frankly, I don't see one of these right-wing characters like we have in Brazil or in China or in the UK or US taking off over here, or even in India for that matter.
So maybe you're right that racist voting doesn't happen. Even if racism does exist, racist voting would not affect the elections. What about racial voting? Because it's not necessarily racist to want somebody of your own race, of your own culture. Like if I said, or if a female said, I'm voting for her because she's female and she may represent my aspirations, and probably we wouldn't think much of that, right? But when it comes to race, why would it be wrong for an elderly Chinese or even a younger Chinese to identify, and likewise for Malays and Indians, with somebody who looks and speaks like them and comes from the same culture.
Yeah, you see, I don't know whether you've read some of the comments coming out about Kamala Harris. You see,
I have.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of people who are celebrating the fact that she's the first black vice president,
Yes.
the first Asian American vice president. But on the other hand, from the left, you've got people who are saying, look, she's the one who was tough on crime.
Yes.
And she
Right.
was pretty right wing in the way
Right.
she was San Francisco district attorney.
Yeah. Which are all true, right?
Yeah, exactly. But again, the question is
right.
representation versus
That
what
is
is
not enough. That's
exactly,
right,
it's not
right,
enough.
right.
You see, just to have a face that looks like you,
Right,
they have
so-
to think like you.
Right. So people will still be skeptical.
Yeah, they will still be
Right.
skeptical.
Okay. Okay.